Minnesota, massive fraud is taking place within the government and the Somali population. Here, this building alone, Quality Learning Center, is a daycare, yet they spelled learning wrong and they said Learing. This daycare alone in 2025 has received $1.9 million from the government. And the strange things about these childcare centers is there's no one here right now. It's midday on a weekday. And if you were to try to go inside, it's completely closed and the windows are all blacked out. No one's working, midday, children should be in here, and this place is licensed for 99 children, and this is the outside. There's no windows, no nothing, and like I said, they literally spelt the word wrong on their sign. This is open and blatant fraud taking place here inside of Minnesota. The government is complicit with this, and this is just one of the hundreds of child daycare centers here inside of Minneapolis being ran by the Somali population. It's sad that it's happening here in Minnesota, and it stinks that it's happening and it's being labeled on the Somali population. However, that's just the facts of what's happening here inside of Minnesota. $1.9 million for this daycare center that can't even spell learning right.
Wow. All right. Linda, so we don't live in Minnesota, but why should this matter to us here?
Because it can happen in our state. One thing I've noticed about Democrats is that they are just, in my opinion, just a money laundering operation. They have a history of coming up with great names for different programs, whether it's Feed the Children, whether it's anything, BLM, no matter what you want to call it, any autism program. But what it really is ends up being like a money laundering operation. They always do this every single time at the expense of the taxpayer. So as a taxpayer, we can't look at it just like it's a Minnesota problem. I live in Georgia. It could become a Georgia problem. All it takes is a bunch of crooked politicians. And I hate to say it, it's not always Democrats, because where I live, we have a lot of rhinos. Rhinos run the state of Georgia, unfortunately. So we could almost bet that at some time in the future, this could happen where I live. So it's unfortunate for me to even think about how many people that actually need help aren't getting the help. And for him to be standing outside of a daycare center with nobody there, middle of the day on a weekday, and the doors are locked. They're just using this to pad their own pockets and send money back to their countries. And a lot of times that money ends up in the hands of terrorists. And we know that to be true.
Right. Yeah. Crystal, so many people are saying this is a Somali problem. And we also have heard how we've seen radical Islam infiltrate many parts of the United States. But when we talk about that, when we say that, we're being called xenophobic. What are your thoughts there?
I always say I am so sick and tired of this gaslighting that they try to do to us all the time. They constantly try to gaslight us and try to make us feel bad for speaking truth. We are not supposed to be quiet in this situation. Truth is truth. And it's on both sides of the aisle. Let's be real about it. Both the Democrats and the rhinos, they want to push this Islam is peaceful, Islam is our friend, Islam is this, Islam is that. But if we pay attention to the rest of the world, we see exactly what Islam is doing. It is taking over. And they're not coming in there to be peaceful. As many of them have said, they have come to dominate. If that means taking money to send back to their countries to assist in their plans to take over, that's what they're going to do. So what is happening in Minnesota is exactly what Linda B said will happen everywhere. And I honestly feel like we need a Doe style audit over there in Minnesota and in other parts of the country, because how many people are out here not getting the services that they need, not getting the funding that they need, not getting the help that they need because the money is being fraudulently spent. I really feel like we need a Doe style audit across the US.
Absolutely. Blanca, you actually called the daycare. Talk about that. And what do you think is really going on?
Yes, I actually did call. I called the number that is on the door. And there's also the number that's on the sign. That happens to be two different numbers. One went right to voicemail. The other rang. Now we're 1 hour ahead. And so at 4:23, you know, this is from someone who actually ran a daycare and was licensed, and we always passed our inspections. Daycares usually don't close around 4. Usually there's aftercare programming, but it's just incredible. I shared with you, and I want to share briefly one of the infractions. I actually went to the licensing website for all of the daycare centers. They are still showing active as of today.
Wow.
Yes. And just want to read one of the infractions that they had back in June. It says here that written parental permission had not been obtained for administering medicine or topical products on a child. That was that was one of a list. And so I do hate to say it like, oh, I agree, but I want to say it again, like Linda said and Crystal said, the people that should be helped are not being helped. So this lets us know where it is. And now we need to find out how to remedy this, because we cannot continue. Now, Minnesota isn't one of the states that withheld SNAP benefit. But since COVID, they have had errors upon errors upon errors on their data.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. And it's just not just these daycares. I mean, it came out within the last 24 hours that there also Somalis are buying homes in Minnesota to use as home care, and they sit empty. And then they bill the state for millions per year. So according to Town Hall, 450 homes have been confirmed. So again, somebody mentioned in the chat, these Somalis have figured out the perfect plan on how to scam Minnesota taxpayers. And there are real people with real issues that need assistance. Okay, but this money, our tax-paying dollars, are being used to fraudulently pay for this stuff. And the leaders here, these elected officials, aren't doing anything about it. Here we have Tim Walz. He is going off about JD Vance, who came out at AmFest this weekend and said white people should not have to apologize for being white. This is what he chooses to focus on. This is clip 5. Take a look.
So this is what happens when your own federal government wages war against you. This is what happens when they target communities for their own benefit. This is what happens when they scapegoat. And this is what happens when they no longer hide the idea of white supremacy, when you hear the Vice President of the United States talk about now white people won't have to apologize for being white. That's never happened once in my whole damn life. And I think everybody in this room knows what they're doing. So we're here today to say enough of this. We're here today to stand that Minnesota will protect their neighbors.
Shirley, I mean, what is he talking about? This is what the Democrats have been doing ever since, what's her name? Nancy Pelosi bowed with a kente cloth.
Every description that he named or labeled against JD Vance, it really applies to Tim Walz, okay? From the line, the scapegoating, even using people for their own benefit. That's what Tim Walz has done. And all of those Somali, whatever leaders or wherever they are, whatever their position is in that community. Again, these are taxpayers' funds. I don't care if you live in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Alaska. Taxpayer funds equals Americans. Our money. I want an accounting of it. I want our money back. I want my money back. Tim Walz, the Somalis, they have the audacity to go build homes, and we have a whole generation of young men and even women, but young men particularly, who cannot afford to buy a home in the United States. They can't afford to start their families, is what they're saying, but yet they can take $18 billion, and that's only $18 billion that we know of. I contend that it's much, much more, double, maybe even quadruple more that we don't know about as of yet. So this Tim Walz can go sit on it, and I hope he sits on it in a cold, hard cell on his, never mind, I won't say that part. Nevertheless, before I go on, I do want to acknowledge our super chatters here. Look, it's Christmas Eve. We're going to call out our super chatters here, and we're going to start with, come on, our first one. Come on out. Come on, producers, bring it. We have Kung Fu CJ with your $2 super chat for being a member of our Freedom Club, and he's one of our mods. He says, wow, hello, ladies. Hello, PMP family. Thank you, Kung Fu CJ. And I'm back again for your $2 super chat. He says, there's no men tonight. Get it, girls. All right, we're getting it on. And because it's Christmas Eve, I'm just feeling not Scroogey. I'm just going to say hi to all our mods. I'm going to get through you. I'm just going to say hi. Liberty, Bernie, Agatha, Kimberly, all in the stupid chat. I will get through you throughout the night. Okay, give us a chance.
All right. Thank you so much. Yes, indeed, folks. Your super chats go a long way in helping us produce this content. We are conservatives, again, God-fearing, truth-seeking, American-loving people, and we appreciate you guys. You help keep us online, so thank you all so much.